at his top 5. Earl Campbell, Tyler Rose Award. They've announced their finalists, and those finalists will include Texas running back in alphabetical order, Jonathan Brooks, Ollie Gordon, Oklahoma State, Jalen Milroe, Alabama, Caden Salter from Liberty, and Gente, Conference Player of the Year from Boise State. Craig?
Ashton Gente, a really good player from Boise. Jalen Milroe obviously had a great run after the Texas game. Jonathan Brooks, a really good year, got cut short by injury, so interesting to see him included there. But also you had Ollie Gordon with Big 12, Offensive Player of the Year type of run, and now I'm forgetting without the graphic up there. Gente, Gordon, Milroe,
Jonathan
Brooks, and there's a fifth one though.
Caden Salter.
Yeah, Caden Salter from Liberty. He had a really good year. They played a pretty light schedule. That's very Ian McCall, by the way. That's something that, people have pointed out here and there, but Ian McCall really pulling the old Baylor scheduling card out there at Liberty of let's make this and they moved into a conference. So, they did have that transition, but they beat up on a schedule, and Caden Salter was the guy throwing all of the haymakers. He had a really big year numbers-wise. So, yeah, it's a good group. The award, which is Earl's namesake, and he's very much involved with, as is his family. They want to honor the best player in college football, Division I from the state of Texas, or that has Texas ties. And in this case, all 5 of these guys are from Texas. Gente moved to Texas in high school, but he played high school, graduated high school ball, so he's counted into that list. So yeah, these are the 5. Now there's a lot of debate that was had, over others. Quinn Ewers had the big performance in the Big 12 championship game, but was his season player of the year worthy? Ultimately decided no. Can't factor into the playoffs here. There were a lot of other really good candidates. Ishmael Mahdi at Texas State had a really nice year. If special teams counted, which it doesn't, it's an Offensive Player of the Year award, then maybe Ishmael Mahdi gets the nod. Taj Brooks had a really good year for Texas Tech, and big news that he's going to be coming back. And I could go on and on. Jalen Polk at Washington, although he faded down the stretch and didn't really have many catches at all in the last month. So this is what it got whittled down to. I think 5 really, really good players. I think it's going to be really hard to decide amongst these 5 because they've either risen or fallen or gotten hurt in Brooks's case. But I think all 5 guys, if you just look at the storylines of college football this year, Brooks obviously a huge part of Texas's run to get them to where they are. Ollie Gordon had a huge year for Oklahoma State. Milroe, one of the best, most improved stories. Salter, G5 represented there. And then Gente, I think a guy from the G5 who really got overlooked, and I fought really hard for him because he had a massive year. The top player, offensive yards, all-purpose. He was the top guy in the entire country when it came to 500-plus yards receiving, over 1,000 rushing, 19 touchdowns. So, yeah, I like the group, and I think they are, really representing the state of Texas well.
All right, we'll have the votes eventually, and they'll have the banquet at the first of the year. But those are the 5 finalists for the Campbell Award. Paul, of those names on that group of 5, who would you think you don't have to, but who you'd vote for?
It would come down to Ollie Gordon and Jalen Milroe for me.
Okay.
I think, Ashton Gente, though, man, you do want to start awarding guys for being the best at something in the entire country.
Yeah.
And that, the spirit of the award is that. So that would be tough. But to me, and maybe I might have some Milroe glasses on right now because I've been I'm just very impressed by his story and the way that, this is a dude who was benched in the second game of the year.
Yep.
And not injured, benched. Or the third game, I guess that would have been against USF. They benched Jalen Milroe. And that was sending him out, sent a message, played most of the game with a guy who's now quit football and is going to play lacrosse at quarterback, and came out of that, and then all of a sudden he's been one of the most dynamic players in the country. So, yeah, and Ollie Gordon changed Oklahoma State's season Jonathan Brooks may have ran away with this thing had he not gotten injured. I don't know.
I agree. I think he would have.
Yeah.
I think he would have.
I mean, he might
I mean, his numbers are comparable, and he missed like the last month, and I think that's why he ultimately got a nod was because like he was so impressive when he was playing, and a huge part of why Texas ended up where they are.
And especially if you can like just project him out, if he has what his average games were for those games that he missed,
Wet Blanket saying, and he's been fighting this battle. And Wet Blanket, we appreciate you. He's an Oklahoma State fan, but Brooks's numbers compared to Gordon's numbers before Gordon was hurt. Brooks had 1,035 yards and 8 touchdowns, and Ollie Gordon had 1,225 yards and 12 touchdowns. So even when Brooks was hurt, but I still think that it depends on what Brooks would have done in some of the games down the stretch. But those two, it would have been hard to separate the two of them. It's still even hard, but Gordon ended up with the bigger year.
Yeah, I mean, I think that Brooks is going to be hurt by the fact that he was hurt. I mean, I think that that's ultimately going to probably catch up to him when you're looking at the other guys, finishing out their seasons. But I think that's also respecting the year that he did have before he got hurt. Ollie Gordon was the Big 12 Offensive Player of the Year. We'll see if he's the Earl Campbell, Tyler Rose Award Player of the Year. But I do know that Genty's already announced that he's coming back to Boise State next season. Jalen Milroe today announcing that he's coming back to Alabama next season. We'll see on Jonathan Brooks and what he ultimately decides to do. Ollie Gordon, I guess is he a junior? I'm trying to remember now, or a sophomore. I think he's a sophomore.
I think he's a sophomore eligibility.
Of course, off the top of my head, I hadn't been thinking about that. And then, that would leave, I guess. Wait, who am I missing? Brooks, Milroe, Gordon, and Genty. I got Brooks. Caden Salter. Yeah. So I mean, that's a name that'll be interesting to watch. Like I would imagine he's probably getting some transfer offers, but who knows? Yeah. So that's a good group.
Liberty for a G5 team, like they've got some money that around there that can keep people in the fold if they really want him to. But Caden Salter had a fantastic year, so wouldn't be surprised. He's a quarterback, so his value is even more amplified.
The high